Welcome to the California American Chemical Society's celebration of chemistry for Earth Week. All of you should have a brochure, and on page 5 of the brochure is the demonstration that we'll be performing. It's Bugs to Die For. And this is also available on our website, www.calacs.org, and go to our Earth Week page. I'm going to put on my safety glasses now and show you what's in the bag that you have. What you have is a piece of paper that tells you what's in the bag and what you will need. What you will need are some white clear vinegar, baking soda, a small glass with water, a rolling pin, and a marking pen. And what you have in your bag that we provided are a plastic bag with the dried insects, the cochineal. You also have 3 small cups, a couple of pipettes, some cotton squares, and some fabric. You have a piece of fabric marked C, that's cotton, that has not been washed, a piece of fabric marked WC, that's wash cotton, and a piece of fabric marked polyester. And you'll be able to follow the directions on what you can do with these samples of fabric. I'll be working with the cotton squares. So I'm first going to take the cups and mark one of them A for acid, and that's vinegar. Vinegar is an acid. And then I'm going to mark another one B for baking soda. That's a base. And then I'm going to mark one C for the cochineal. Now these are small bugs, as I said, and they are found on cactus in Mexico. And when the Spaniards went to Mexico, they noticed the red fabric that the people in Mexico were wearing, and it was what's called color fast, meaning the clothes could be washed and the color didn't fade, and the clothes did not fade in sunlight. Well, that was very important, because while people liked the color red, all the dyes that they had were dyes that would fade in sunlight or fade upon washing. So the Spanish cornered the market. They had a monopoly for many years on red dye. This red dye is a natural colorant, and it's used in cosmetics and in food. So you might have eaten some of the dried cochineal bug. Now I'm trying to crush these bugs down to a powder as best I can, trying to make sure that as much as possible, it's as fine as possible. And so what I'm going to do is shake it into the corner to try to get more piled up here, and then keep on crushing. I can hear a little bit, but it's not as noisy as before. And I think I've pretty much crushed it as best I can. So now what I'm going to do is take my cup marked C for cochineal, open up the bag, and try to carefully tap some of the powder. I'm going to try to keep some of the powder back in so that I can use it, do this on another day if I wanted to. So I'm going to take some of the cochineal. I don't need very much. Then I'm going to tap the rest of it back in and seal the bag. Then what I'm going to do is take my pipette and put it into the water, and then start to dissolve some of the dye in the water. And here I have a very beautiful red color. And I'm going to put this down. I'm going to take my cup marked A for acid and pour a little bit of vinegar into the cup. And then what I'm going to do is take the baking soda and tap a small amount into the cup marked B for base. And as some of you may know, acids and bases are opposites, and if you mix baking soda with vinegar, you get a lot of bubbles, and that's carbon dioxide that's formed when the acid reacts with sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda. So I'll put the A in front of the vinegar and the B in front of baking soda, but first I want to add some water to the baking soda so that I can dissolve some of it. And here is my dye, and I'm going to try, when I take some of the dye out, to only get the liquid and not some of the solids that still haven't dissolved at the bottom. And I'm going to take my plastic squares, I'm taking my cotton squares, and I'm going to take a little bit of the dye and put it on the cotton square. And now what I'm going to do is clean my pipette. The way I do that is take out all the liquid, and then while I have the top pressed down so that it will only suck up, take some of the water, and then I'm going to do that again, holding down at the top, letting go to let the pipette fill with water so that I've cleared it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to first take a little bit of acid and see what happens. So here is the dye on the cotton square, and now I'm going to add some acid, and look at that, it's quite a bit lighter, and it's orange around the dye, and where in the center where I had put the vinegar, it remains pretty clear. So here you see what happens when you add acid. Now I'm going to clean out my pipette by draining it, holding the top, letting water come in, and doing this again, and going over to the baking soda, the base solution, and let's see what happens with base. So here's my square with the dye. It's a nice pink purple, and when I add baking soda, it turns to blue purple. And now you can see the difference between what happens with the cochineal dye with base, baking soda, and with acid, vinegar. I hope you enjoyed this experiment and hope you have fun. There's a couple more squares of cotton, and there's also the fabric that you can have fun and see the difference between the fabric, washed and unwashed cotton, and also the acid and base. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this video.